Blockhaus. We've got a short workshop with Jean-Francois. He's the head of growth at Publicis. He's going to be sharing his lessons learned and advice for brands who want to enter the metaverse.
Thanks, Steve. Hi. Hello. Yeah, thanks, Steve. Is it? Everyone can hear me, right? Okay, cool. Just to introduce myself, I'm John. I'm the head of growth at Publicis. So my job scope is really to take care of the agency brands that are under Publicis Comms, and some of those brands include Copenhagen, PH, Publicis Worldwide. So we all fall under this sort of holding company called Publicis Comms. So aside from new business, part of my role is to help our clients enter and explore new verticals like Web3, the metaverse, gaming, and esports, which is kind of why I'm standing there and talking to you today. So the thing about Web3 and metaverse is it's quite a complicated topic, and my role really is to help demystify the entire world of Web3 for our clients to sort of make it a little bit more accessible, a little bit more break it down to bite-sized information, and to really try and dumb down the terminology a little bit. So in today's presentation, the team asked me to sort of give a workshop about branding and marketing. It's not really a workshop, but what I'm going to try and do is capture the opportunities across Web3 and the metaverse in a way that may be relevant to marketing and advertising professionals who are in the room. Right? So, where do we begin? Whoops. Okay. Yes. Sorry, a little bit of a technical malfunction here. So to begin understanding Web3 and the metaverse, it's important to sort of understand how the web has evolved over the last 30, 35 years. If you really think about the World Wide Web and the internet and why it was created, it was really to sort of remove the barriers between businesses and people to enable commerce on a truly global scale, right? So with the internet, imagine in the past, before the internet, if I wanted to buy a product or I wanted to make a deal, I had to either write a letter, wait 3 months before it reached my partner 200 kilometers away, or I need to get on the phone, call, hoping that someone will pick up the phone on the other end, right? So the internet really helped create that level of connectivity for people, for businesses and brands to really go and grow on a truly international scale. And so with the evolution of Web 1 to Web 2, with the platforms like Facebook, Amazon, Twitter, TikTok, just to name a few, millions and millions of brands and businesses now operate on these platforms to sort of interact, grow, and operationalize. The problem there is that with Web 2 and the power of these platforms is you don't actually own any of the data. You can spend 15 years building a brand on Instagram, developing traffic, designing interactions, growing your user base, increasing your revenue, but you don't actually own the name, right? One day, Facebook, Amazon could decide that this is not something that they want to do anymore, and your entire business is gone. And that's where the exciting promise of Web3 comes in, right? If you think about Web3, the shifts that we're trying to make right now is essentially moving a lot of these things that we know of Web2 back into our consumers' hands. The decentralized nature of Web3 means that we're no longer constrained by platforms and their walled gardens, and it marks a shift in the minimization of trust required to coordinate things on a truly global scale. We're really giving power back to the consumers. Right? But with that in mind, there's still a lot of confusion around what exactly is the metaverse. Is it a place? Is it a thing? I'm sure all of you have been learning from a lot of great speakers today, and all of them have a different interpretation of what the metaverse is, but essentially nobody really knows, right? It's quite a little bit of a joke at the moment. And the reason for that is because the term metaverse is constantly used interchangeably to describe many different things and manifestations of what people think the metaverse is, right? There's really only two sort of directions for what a metaverse could be. If we're talking about the metaverse, it's a macro concept and a sort of attempt to realize what a metaverse could actually look like, right? An example of this in Web 2 is social media, and an example of that in Web 3 is the metaverse, which is a concept. When people start talking about metaverse platform, that is an attempt to sort of bring the metaverse alive. And that's where you go into the world of virtual lands and virtual experiences, sandbox, Decentraland. So you notice how like these two terms tend to be used interchangeably, but they're actually describing very different things. A couple of months ago, I saw an article of the New York Times, and he did an entire, expose on the opportunities across Web3. And this short blurb here really caught my mind. Because in my opinion, one of the biggest barriers to Web3 as a technology or as an opportunity is how complicated everyone makes it to be. The jargons, the terms, everyone is always using these big technical descriptions in order to get investors excited or sound like very knowledgeable in the space. So, and in fact, I personally believe that in order to achieve critical mass adoption, the technology of Web3 needs to become invisible to consumers. If I was to experience something which is Web3 enabled, I don't need to know about the Web3 technologies, I just need to know that it works. And the more people try and democratize that flow of information, the faster we'll be able to get mass adoption. So I'm going to attempt to dumb down a lot of things in the metaverse to try and simplify things in a way where we can understand what's truly exciting about the space and what does it mean for brands who are trying to enter it. And the way that I found to be an effective way to sort of guide people into this space is to draw parallels to the fact that ever since we got a phone, ever since we started going on social media, ever since we started using the internet to communicate with friends, we've all been playing an online game. What do I mean by this? If you think about all these platforms that we use, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of these platforms have sort of different levels to the way people use it. As an average Twitter user, I may use it to tweet about what I'm eating, where I'm going, something that I found funny, but it's a very basic use of the platform. If I dial it up a notch, you have people who are trying to build a business on Twitter, trying to grow their audience, trying to present a point of view, and you see them talking about engagement hacks, having tweet storms of their opinions on the latest tech trends, and or sharing advice on investments, infrastructure, so whatever. And there's even smaller but higher mastery of the platform, and these are the 1% of their accounts. These are the movers and shakers. These are the people who really know how to utilize the platforms to maximize value for themselves. Think of Elon Musk, think of all the shit posters and meme lords on Twitter. These guys with a single tweet, they either move a project up or down. And the truth is that how everyone plays in these platforms actually helps you unlock opportunities in others. What do I mean by this? If I was to share an Instagram story, a tweet, or a Facebook post, someone might see it, and I get invited into a Discord channel where I might be invited to work on a project which might lead to financial freedom. Of course, I'm not saying that everyone will be able to have that opportunity, but you can sort of see how if you start playing or viewing this as a game, then you will start understanding the different levels of mastery which is required in order to unlock opportunities for yourself. This game that all of us are playing is something that we play as ourselves across the entire internet, racking up points as we go along the way. You just don't realize it. Again, think of a YouTube content creator, think of a seller on eBay, Amazon, Lazada, Shopee. It's really all about understanding how to best use the platform. It's a game. Here are some examples of people who have really taken the mastery of the platforms and are playing the games really well. I'm sure some of you recognize the people on this screen here. Grumpy Cat, rest in peace, Kim Kardashian, AOC, Grimes, Elon Musk. These people are really maximizing their efforts on the platforms in order for them to create new opportunities for themselves, with Grammys, start TV shows, go into politics, make a lot of money, become very successful, become very famous. I saw this tweet a couple of weeks ago, and if you think about it, everything that we do in life, be it go to the office or at home, we're all really trying just to hit the right keys in the right order to make money, right? But the interesting thing is that all of the decisions that we make online comes down to these two key things: money and fun. What do I mean by this? Working in a bank may be 8 on money but 3 on fun. As a professional gamer, you might be 9 on money and maybe, 9 on fun and maybe 5 on money. And if all you do is just stay at home and scroll through Instagram, it's probably 10 on fun, but 0 on money. So there are many different motivations for why people do what they do online. But when it comes to the metaverse, and notice how I say the metaverse, because I'm trying to describe a concept. The metaverse actually allows us to take all the decisions that we do online up a notch, because we're baking game mechanics right into the whole internet. And this is only possible because of cryptocurrency, which is essentially in-game money for the internet. So if you're following what I'm saying so far, cryptocurrency is essentially the enablement layer of the metaverse, right? What does crypto tokens do for people? It creates capital opportunities because it allows people to be rewarded for their participation. It allows us to create incentives. It allows things to be tradable, thus creating sort of a commerce layer over it. On top of that, it's extremely entertaining and allows us to further develop sort of utility around the different elements of the tokens. So imagine anything that you're doing online in the metaverse, be it taking a post, sharing a post, tweeting a post. It could actually lead to a lottery ticket which gives you financial freedom, right? I mean, that's the dream. Everyone hopes to mint an NFT that it could flip, like a body yacht guy, right? So if you're still a little bit lost, I'm going to try and even cement this point a little bit better. Social media is a clear manifestation of this meta game. What do I mean by this? I'm sure all of you guys know an influencer or a content creator or someone who lives and breathes their entire life online, right? But if you think about it, the people who are doing this are because they either want status, they're either status seeking, or they want to farm social capital because, it sort of builds up their profile. So why then are people turning into digital monkeys? And this is something which, a lot of people started to realize, and I'm sure many of you started to realize that people are starting to change their profile pics from their faces into digital profile pics. So why do they do that? Coming back to the point that I was making earlier, NFTs give capital to their owners by giving them money in their accounts and driving value of the NFTs and sort of creating this fun experience of owning an NFT and being part of the community, gives them the utility because of the loyalty element and being part of the DAO, and of course it's entertaining as hell. I'm talking about NFTs because NFTs are essentially the bridge between Web3 and the virtual economy of the metaverse, right? It has its economy that is attached to a lot of these NFTs. It also creates sort of a business layer called investment as a status because holding a popular NFT either tells people that you're early or you're rich. And of course, the entire gamification angle that surrounds NFTs requires, or in some ways, many projects requires you to show proof of work to earn the token or at least earn a whitelist in order for you to mine or mint the NFT. But the critical thing which I see a lot of people not talking about is behind every NFT is a human being, which is where things now start to get a little bit exciting if you're a brand. Everyone who owns an NFT is essentially a person who made a conscious decision to commit, exchange their money to buy into your project, right? It's a combination of identity and social organization. So if an NFT project got 10,000 supply and you mint it out completely, that means 10,000 people have actually bought into your brand. A lot of people forget about this point because they think that it's being decentralized means you don't exactly know who are the people who are owning your NFTs. You are unable to get data, but that doesn't mean that you can't stop treating them like actual people, right? Because to draw a little bit of parallels to advertising bingo, NFTs are sort of the commodities of the metaverse, and the way they are being organized is in DAOs, which probably is a familiar topic to most of you right now. DAOs are sort of a digital media company, and NFTs are a piece of that digital media company. So why are people turning into digital monkeys online? Because it's a new social network with more fun and more money baked into it. So this is an example of how NFTs as a whole has sort of manifested itself in this social media game. But the interesting thing is that the emergence of crypto and NFTs has really created this large business opportunity to develop decentralized brands and communities. Because the metaverse allows us to make money into fun things and fun things into money things. And this is a completely new paradigm shift away from the way we think about experiences online. So, as marketeers, how should we play this game? Or when it comes to branding and advertising, what are the things that we need to focus on, or what do we need to try and remember? If we take a step back at what I've been talking about so far, the metaverse is really the democratization of the online game that people have been playing, either on Facebook, Instagram, and everything, but now, because of this decentralized nature, we are democratizing the entire experience. But it's also because we are witnessing tokenization of communities, culture, and ourselves. Over the next couple of slides, I'll show you some key examples of what brands are doing in the space and why they are doing it, and also perhaps call out certain things that are important to consider if you're a brand trying to enter the metaverse. Right? So I'm sure all of you have seen the news, the Starbucks Odyssey. It came out in most major publications, and it got a lot of rave reviews because of what Starbucks is trying to do. It's really interesting because if you think about a loyalty card in a Web2 world, it's easily explained, right? You buy 8 coffees and you get the 9th one free, or you can chalk up points to redeem a free coaster or a free tumbler that you can bring home, or a free CD. And so why is Starbucks moving into an online space? Because they are trying to create additional commerce opportunities for their consumers. The biggest difference here is both not just scalability, but also allowing, or rather rewarding its consumers with not just additional items, but an opportunity to monetize what they directly monetize the effort that they're putting into their experience with Starbucks. It's a game changer altogether. Because the metaverse is a commerce with experiences built into it, right? It's really about digital ownership. It's a liquid marketplace. It's always on. It never goes to sleep. It can be accessed from all over the world. Shopify recently launched their fan dating platform, which is an amazing thing for brands. Because what this actually does is they are heralding sort of their investment or attempt to start building more loyalty-focused CRM solutions for brands. If any of you guys are business owners and use Shopify, you will know that it's initially a very e-commerce focused website. But right now, with this additional layer, they're adding the option of using NFTs as sort of a way to provide or show that you're a member of this club. Therefore, you get more and more exclusive access to special deals, IP, special drops, invitation-only parties. And this is really where we're going to see the NFT meta shifting towards. Right? Because in the next couple of years, digital goods, IP ownership, loyalty will be the core theme. Gone are the days of just pure profile pictures with no utility. More and more brands are going to start using NFTs to fan-gate their solutions, create exclusive experiences, and really start standing out from the crowd. But the interesting thing is also that I strongly believe that in the future, creators will actually be the new Nikes, Adidas, and Supremes. If any of you guys are familiar with Mr. Beast, 20,000 fans showed up for his physical burger opening a couple of months ago. This is by far one of the biggest in-person launches for an individual business owner to have. So in the future, I actually believe that content creators like Mr. Beast will start creating their own products, and people will start buying those products instead of buying the Nikes, the Adidas, and Supremes of the world. Why? Because if you think about the model of Nike, Adidas, and Supreme, they need influencers or celebrities to move their products, right? They can't move their products alone. In order for them to launch a new shoe, they need to partner with a superstar or a celebrity or a sportswear, because people will buy the shoe because that guy is wearing it. What happens when those guys start launching their own products? They don't need the brands anymore. This is really a big shift in the way that we need to start thinking about the future of the creator economy. Another reason why the metaverse is exciting for brands is because it opens up access to brand new demographics and markets. Think about the 1% to 99% conundrum. One of the biggest verticals in the space is actually being driven by luxury brands, Chanel, Dior, Louis Vuitton. The reason why beauty luxury brands are investing heavily in this space is because most people in their lives probably won't own a physical product. I know I won't, but I might own the digital version of it, and that's where the 1% versus 99% comes into play. One of the most successful metaverse experiences is Louis V the game. Constantly, with a very active monthly user base, with deals, promotions, and experiences. And any of you guys haven't experienced it, I suggest you go and try it. But Louis V is a game whereby they've opened up the exclusive beauty world of Louis Vuitton to the mass. And people can come in, experience what Louis Vuitton is all about, go on the journey as they follow this little cute character, and potentially win or buy digital products under Louis Vuitton. And the reason why more and more brands are moving towards this direction is because it enables brands and businesses to provide people an experience that will give them a chance to earn money while doing what's fun. And a good example of that is Topshop, which again, I'm sure many of you guys are familiar with it, so I'm not going to dwell too much on this. But being able to share your IP with your consumers and giving them an access to use that IP and then create sort of a value stream for themselves is essentially the entire ecosystem right now that we're seeing move towards, right? Ultimately, understand that Metaverse is a game that anyone can play, and all you need is just a little bit of knowledge and curiosity. So some people might ask, how should we play? As a brand, what's the way to start, or how should I, kickstart my ambition in this space? You begin by asking yourself, what are you good at? What does your brand stand for? What do you want to achieve in the metaverse? Because I think a big mistake a lot of my clients are making at the moment is jumping headfirst into the space without clearly sort of understanding what they want to do. A way to sort of explain this is if you're trying to do exactly what you're doing with your current business model, if you're already selling products on Amazon, if you're already selling products on Lazada, and you want to go into the metaverse to do exactly the same thing, why? There's no reason for you to shift the business model just so that you could be in that space. This is something which will take a while to sort of change the mindsets of people, but it's very important to begin there because if you start investing into replicating a business that you currently have in the metaverse, you're going to find that you're going to end up with a lot of attrition, a lot of waste, trying to sort of move your consumers over from a already working business model into a brand new space. Another mental model I like to ask myself when consulting with brands or any NFT projects at the moment. We all know that community is the centerpiece of any NFT projects. So, but at the same time, building a community has many different ways in. So, one of the best mental models I ask for tokenized communities is the comparison between cities and startups. Put it another way, is your community a city or a startup? What do I mean by this? Because crypto creates an ownership layer over the internet, the concept of a startup becoming one component of a digital city is essentially what separates Web2 from Web3. A Web2 startup does not and should not want to play a significant role in creating this digital city. A startup that is incorporating tokens and ignores its role in the creation of the digital city will fail because tokens add unnecessary friction. You have to remember that we're all pioneers populating the surface areas created by tokens, right? Tokens are a social graph that helps create this new kind of digital community surface. Anyone, whether they hold a particular project's token, can build a business around this social graph. As an example, Basic has a lot of these iterations of people taking that token on the social graph and developing businesses around, thus creating a city. If enough businesses are put around the social graph, this business starts conducting trade with one another, an economy will emerge. So again, drawing back to the idea of cities versus startups, you can start to see why it's important to start asking yourself that question at the start of any project that is trying to hit. Because, in time I think that we'll see both starting points can lead to successful outcomes, but I think it's important to just have that frame of reference when we're talking about or deciding how we're going to move ahead. I'll leave you guys with this. Web3 is a new frontier for consumer engagement and personalization. It's a chance to build the foundations of new human systems for a more equitable world. And anyone, anywhere can earn an income by selling their goods digitally, all via platforms. Remain inspired and identify the value exchange between a brand and its consumers to make it more balanced and transparent. And really start digging deep into the ways that we could make it right and make it more magic for our consumers and their experiences, and make it more about individuality, not less. And that's sort of the way that we need to approach thinking about the metaverse and how we should engage with our consumers online. And that's it. Thank you.
Right, give it up for John. Thanks so much.